citizens. They have only received a salary on an annual basis from American taxpayers. How do they have so much money? How do they have such nice things? I don't pay taxes for my politicians to live lavish lives. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tea with Taylor. As always, I appreciate you joining me, and I hope you find some value out of my content. It's informative, educational, at the very least, a little bit entertaining. So if you do, please consider sharing, or subscribing, because it is important that we support content creators, products, services that reflect our values. So let's get into it. So in this episode, I want to focus on taxes, which I have actually focused a lot of my attention on lately. The more I learn about money, read history about taxes or any type of financial situation, or just history in general, really. And the more I see Uncle Sam taking money from me via taxes, the more I realize how essential it is for us to understand money and taxes. So I want to start off with a quote from John Marshall, and I quote, "A unlimited power to tax involves necessarily a power to destroy, because there is a limit beyond which no institution and property can bear taxation. And I say that because when America first was instituted, actually many of its citizens lived with very little amount of taxes. Now today, when we get paid through our employer, it's already taxed. Or if you are an independent contractor or a business owner, you pay either payroll taxes or you pay your taxes in the arrears, meaning that you owe at the end of your year when you file your taxes. After you receive your payment from your employer, it's taxed, but then every time you purchase something, you pay a tax on that. And then you have to pay the government property taxes. So you don't even own your property, you rent it from the government, which is a problem. When the government actually has control over all of the property, then that gives them power over all of your property. Because if you don't pay your taxes, they can seize your property. So taxation is literally theft from the government with a metaphorical gun to your head, because if you don't pay them, then you will be reprimanded, whether that be through them seizing your assets or putting you to jail. And that is a problem, especially when you read the Communist Manifesto. They say communism can be summed up in one sentence, and it is, now this isn't verbatim, but it is the abolishment of private property, and that the state should have control over all property. Well, when you have property taxes, where the citizens of the country do not actually own their land, they rent it from the government, that is one step closer, or you could say a new way around the idea of no private property. That is a problem. And when you think about the American people work about 4 months for free, when you examine the amount of taxes they pay to the amount of income that they make, because Uncle Sam gets paid first. So when you review your taxes, I know when I review my taxes, I work about 4 months for the government. Literally after all my taxes, and that's not even including my sales tax, my property taxes, that's just the federal taxes for the most part. Of course, when I lived in Illinois, we had state income taxes, but not every state has income taxes. But for the federal government, I work about 4 months for free. Can you honestly say that's an example of a free market capitalist society, where you work, your labor is for the government, and then they accumulate, I shouldn't say accumulate, they steal that money from you and then distribute it how they please. And not only is that an issue because that's free labor, these politicians who take the money from their citizens and then redistribute it how they see fit have no skin in the game. And when you're dealing with other people's money, you tend not to be as responsible or fiscally conservative as far as how you allocate that money. And when they have an unlimited amount of taxation because they just keep raising taxes. They keep putting taxes on every product, service, property. You know, the amount of times your dollar is taxed, it's not, the value isn't even a dollar. And then what they also do is they give the authority of our monetary system to the Federal Reserve, who has a monopoly on our monetary system and can print money whenever they please. And then not only are you being taxed, actually, you have inflation, which is devaluating the value of your currency, which is a tax. Because when your money is worth less, that they just took wealth from you. So they are actually even penalizing the people who are responsible with their money, who are trying to save their money. They're penalizing you by deflating or devaluating the currency through inflation, and now your money is worth less. And then what is majority of politicians' solution to the problem that they and the Federal Reserve created together? Is to raise taxes. And I love when they always say, we're gonna tax the millionaires and the billionaires. Realistically, the taxes always go to everyone, and then they, behind the scenes simultaneously are passing this legislation that no one understands, that have loopholes for their lobbyists and the wealthy to try and avoid the taxes that they're communicating to their constituents that they're going to put onto the wealthy. Now, I don't think you should be able to tax people just for their wealth either. I think that's unconstitutional, and I actually think it's immoral. You shouldn't be penalized for making money, and the government doesn't have a right to your money. Even though they think they do, they believe that they have a right to your money, and they will penalize you if you don't pay the money owed to Big Brother or whoever. And these politicians have no skin in the game. So they are very irresponsible with our money. They can't even budget the $3 trillion they receive on an annual basis, yet they demand more of your money. And they will communicate it to people as it being for the greater good. You're selfish if you want to keep your money and distribute it and allocate it within the economy or however you please. You're selfish for wanting to keep your hard-earned money, but somehow they're moral and they care about people by wanting to take your money and then give it to whomever, whatever institution. Mind you, like when we had the COVID omnibus packages of trillions of dollars of spending, millions of dollars went to institutions of wealthy individuals. You had the Kennedy Institute, you had them giving kickbacks to who I'm sure they're lobbyists in some way or another. And what happens is when you allow the government to have this authority they get paid before you do, because the payroll taxes are, when you get your paycheck, it's already taxed. So the government gets it before you do, and then they tax products and services and your land. And then they have inflation. And what's funny is they're saying, we need more money for education, for roads. We need to make these things better. Everything they do is inefficient and ineffective and very costly. When you look at our schools that are falling behind the global standard, yet they demand more money for it, more money for infrastructure. Like the infrastructure bill that just passed, it was like $1.2 trillion. Billions of dollars didn't even go towards infrastructure. I think it was like a 2,000-page bill. So you want to tell me that these politicians who voted on it actually knew where the money was going? I call bullshit. So we need to change the way the communication or the conversation is even had. It's not the government's money, it's the American taxpayers' money that they've confiscated and now want to redistribute. And when we look at them demanding more money for roads or schools or whatever other institution that they deem necessary, look at how inefficient it is. And look at how costly it is, because when the government have a monopoly over the prices or over the services, there is no free market and there is no competition. Therefore, they can raise the prices, and when they have an unlimited amount of power to tax its citizens and they have no skin in the game to be conservative when it comes to the price tag or the way they allocate the money, why would they? And why would we keep giving these people more money? Money is not the issue. Competence, efficiency, cost effectiveness, those are things that they should be seeking and trying to better, not just demanding that we pay more. And when you have them keep raising taxes, entrepreneurs, individual businesses have an incentive to try and pay. And as little amount of taxes as they legally can. I do that. I tell my CPA to pay as little amount of taxes as I legally can because I've already paid tens of thousands of dollars to the government. And what do I get out of it? What do I get out of it? Literally. I mean, it's sickening. And when you want to create businesses and jobs and investments, you need those money. I will tell you, the money that I give to the federal government, I would be way more effective as to where I allocate that through the economy or however which way I please to create a business, to support certain industries or communities that I would like to support. Because I believe the individuals know better where to put their monies than politicians, especially when they don't even live in the communities. You know, Nancy Pelosi's trying to move into Florida after they have, you know, a state with no state income tax, low taxes, that they constantly bash. Yet now she's going to move there because she wants to get out of probably San Francisco because it's totally been run into the ground through high taxes, more regulation, and too much government, where the people no longer want to live it there. Even the leaders who, you know, orchestrated that political system no longer want to live there. And so we have a right to our money. We have a right to allocate our monies where we see fit. It is not, we need to stop looking to the government to educate our children. We need to stop looking to the government to build everything for us because they're not even good at it. And the government doesn't create jobs because they don't create money. They only take it. So why wouldn't we want more private enterprise where people are responsible for their actual money? Where they have skin in the game, when investors and entrepreneurs that are constantly under attack, we need to tax the millionaires and billionaires. Well, they're actually risking their own time and money to develop these businesses or innovations. What are Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, or any of these AOC, these other politicians who are demanding you pay more in taxes, you give them more money, what are they doing? Because when I give tens of thousands of dollars to the government every year, and then I look at around me and I see homelessness soaring, prices going up, roads are still shit. What am I paying for? And then I look at their salaries and their houses. How is it that Bernie Sanders can have 3 houses? How is it that Joe Biden can have multiple multi-million-dollar houses when they are career politicians? They are leeches on the American citizens. They have only received a salary on an annual basis from American taxpayers. How do they have so much money? How do they have such nice things? I don't pay taxes for my politicians to live lavish lives. So I think we need to change the way we think and communicate about the topic of taxes and realize that the people have a right to their money, not the government. They know what to do with their money. And if you believe that we need a bigger government and more taxes, then you believe in the government rather than the individuals. And I believe in the individuals. I believe in people wanting to help their community, create businesses, entrepreneurs, and honestly just the right to their labor and the fruits of their labor. Not working 4 months for free to give Uncle Sam more money because they already can't budget the trillions of dollars that they give on an annual basis since we're $28 trillion in debt. So when the next time someone makes an argument to you that the Department of Education just needs more money, the Department of Transportation just needs more money, they get trillions of dollars a year. Where is it going? Why are they passing bills where no one knows where the money's being allocated? Seriously, where is our taxpayer money going? That is how I will end it, and I will leave that question up to you and to give the idea and the conversation of taxes more thought and to understand that you have a right to your own money, and it's not greedy for you to want to keep your hard-earned money and to allocate it as you please. It is actually greedy for politicians or other individuals to demand you pay the government more money for them to allocate it as they see fit. So thank you for joining me. As always, I will see you soon, and taxation is that. God bless.